Greetings, programs. This is DecKrash, better known as Brandon, and you're watching another Tron Uprising review. Alright guys, so we are doing episode 4 today, which is Blackout. Now, I'll say this about episode 4. If you like light cycles, which most Tron fans do, you loved this episode, okay? So it starts off with Beck doing an interesting little training simulation program. It starts off with him basically rescuing these programs from being taken to the games on board a recognizer. He breaks into the recognizer in a pretty awesome way, using his baton to make a light jet, de-resing the light jet, throwing his disc into the recognizer's windshield, I guess you could call it, breaking in, tying up the other two the guard programs, and basically commandeering the recognizer. Well, the thing is, Beck takes his mask off, and the guard program is like, "Hey, I recognize you. I killed your friend, Brody." And for those of you who don't remember, Brody is the program who was Beck's friend who got killed in the pilot episode. So, that kind of sets Beck off. He turns around and says, "Yes, and I'm going to make sure you never do it again." And then another guard program is right behind him, basically runs him through with a disc. And then you find out that whole deal was just a simulation that Tron was running him through. Now, of course, Beck learns later on after he goes to work that there's this big race going on underneath the city. And unfortunately, Tron finds out that there's this drill that that General Tesla is using to try to siphon more energy for the city, but it would cause massive destabilizations that would destroy Argon. So he sends Beck in, is this Tron persona, of course, to go ahead and basically destroy the gigantic drill. Now, all the while, General Tesla, because of Page's failings, he puts oh man, I'm so bad with names again. He puts Pavel in charge, and of course Pavel is the one who's voiced by Paul Rubens, this other right-hand program. And this guy is just evil. He's like not only a sniveling little suck-up, but he's just evil. And well, in later episodes you find out why. I'm not going to spoil that yet. But anyway, he puts him in charge of the drill, and he's trying to make himself look like, he's better than, he's bigger and better than he really is, trying to whip everyone into shape, screaming and yelling for no good reason. And all the while, the programs in the tunnels are doing this annual race thing, or at least every so many cycles, whatever, it's computer time. And so they're having a big light cycle race in the tunnels that, of course, lead to the drill. And Zed is entered into the contest because he just finished making this modified light cycle that can go much faster than most light cycles can go. It's a pretty cool looking thing. And so you have the race going on, and of course you have Beck going through the tunnels and sneaking up to the drill and laying down the explosives. Well, of course, he has a run-in with another guard program, one of the black guards, the ones that have all the little weird nodule things all over their armor. And the little tube thing leading to this backpack, the ones that look especially fierce. And of course it causes the bombs to go off prematurely, so he goes back and tries to warn the other racers that the tunnels are about to blow. Well, all the while, Zed is racing against the other programs. They have these two particularly nasty programs that are basically trying to throw the race by cheating. Knocking people off their bikes, running the other programs into their jet walls and such. Unfortunately, they try to pull the same trick on Zed, and Zed kicks his bike into overdrive. It's a pretty interesting sight to see. He basically passes these guys like they're standing still. Unfortunately, Beck, what he does is he blows out a part of this bridge that's in the tunnelways to stop the other bikes from going any further. And meanwhile, of course, Paige finds out about about Beck's plan and goes to investigate. And while Beck tells the other programs the whole place is about to blow, Paige overhears him and tries to go back to the drill to warn the others. Beck tries to outrun her, but by the time they get to the drill, of course, the countdown stopped. And this whole time, of course, the whole time you have Pavel, who's still trying to whip the other programs into shape, but then he notices the bombs going off and the announcements, doing a countdown, so he runs off like a little coward, getting the rest of everybody out of there, leaving Paige behind. So the ending part of the series is this big, massive run through the tunnels to get away from the blast as everything's collapsing. The interesting thing is this: I noticed that he had left Zed behind in the tunnels because he ended up commandeering, quote unquote, his light cycle. I guess somehow either Zed got out of the tunnels before the explosion went off. I don't really know how. That to me, that seems to be a slight plot hole in there. So if any of you have any explanations of how Zed might have gotten out of the tunnel safety, please, I'd love to hear your explanations. But anyway, Zed manages to get to safety somehow, and you find him working at the garage again. He's really massively pissed at this renegade for taking his bike. Now, after Paige and Beck make it out alive, and Paige having, of course, to reluctantly accept Beck's help, more and more that little bit by bit growing to show that Beck is the good guy here in Paige's eyes. She goes back to General Tessler after while of course Pavel is thinking that she's dead. And she explains to General Tessler that she has a way of being able to has a plan on how to defeat him. Well, anyway, we go back to the garage and we see Zed working on a new bike, all upset that the renegade took his other bike, and you have Beck trying to basically comfort him, not doing a very good job. It seems to be like Beck is just having absolutely no time for his friends, but of course I think that's a part of the story that's probably going to grow a bit. Because so much of his time is being spent basically as Tron's little disciple, and so he's not very good at making Zed feel better. In other episodes, it just seems to get worse and worse, unfortunately. So, but during this whole time, while Zed is working on the bike, he gets approached by those two other douchebag programs, and they were like, "You made that bike?" And he's like, "Yeah, what's it to you?" He said, "Can you make more?" He's like, "What do you think I'm doing?" And then Paige comes in and says, "Good, because we think you might be able to be of some help to us." So interesting thing. Looks like he's being recruited for the bad guys, and it seems like they're going to use his dislike of the renegade to try to force his undoing. Well, that's quite an interesting way to go with the plot, and not quite all that surprising when you think about it. But then, of course, you see the really big plan when they show General Tessler making this big announcement to all of Argon City, talking about, bring me the renegade. The renegade's he's basically using now the renegade as a scapegoat, getting all the other programs angry at him. And so it leaves Tron assuring him, said like he tells him, don't be upset. When they see that what you're doing is the right thing, you just got to keep doing what you're doing, and they will sooner or later see that this is the right thing. So the plot thickens, basically. And like I said, if you like light cycles, and you get them in spades, because this whole series, the majority of the episode, the majority of the episode is a big light cycle race, and it's high octane, just faster and fastest. So it's just a real joy to see, because I mean, I always liked the whole light cycle bit, both from the original movie and of course from the movie Tron Legacy and everything you've been seeing lately. It's just great. It really gets your blood pumping, because it's just nothing that gives a Tron fan more joy to see than of course the light cycles going at it. And this was just great. This was one for the fans. And it gave a good amount of plot development and really had some things that thickened the plot. So it had me really wanting for more. The only, I guess if I could say anything negative about this, is that most of the episode was the chase scene. but they did do a good enough bit of character development. And I guess this series is every episode, of course, is only 30 minutes long. Well, 25 if you're not counting commercials, of course. So it doesn't leave a lot of time for plot development, so you have to have some really, really smart story writing in order to squeeze in a good amount of plot development. I think they have been doing it well thus far. And from the other episodes that I've seen, I think they've been doing a great job on it. It's just that it's unfortunate, and that's why I can't really call it a negative point of this episode, because it's obvious it's obvious that they're trying to put in a good amount of plot development. It's just that their time is limited. But it sure gives a lot of action, and it makes you forget that the plot is only developing by inches. But when it gives those inches of plot development, it puts a lot of quality into those inches. And that's good, smart storytelling. And take that from a person who is a writer. So, all in all, really good episode. Give it a solid 9 out of 10, only because maybe it wasn't quite as good as the previous couple of episodes, which of course were only the first 2 main episodes. But of course, we all know a whole lot more is coming, and bigger and better than even before. And I will most definitely be back for that come tomorrow. Sorry I skipped a day. I had some issues and I was also very sleepy. Long story. So we'll see you again next time, people. And as always, comment, rate, subscribe down below. Let me know what you think. Give me a piece of your mind. Just as always, keep it civil. And so once again, DecKrash, better known as Brandon. Everyone, stay lucky and stay blessed. See ya.